everyone, and welcome back for a Kipco King George special as the British Champion Series returns to Ascot for the next leg of the middle distance category. Stay tuned with us because we'll be hearing from all of the main contenders, including the man of the hour, John Gosden. We'll also be hearing from the trainer of Postponed, Luca Cumani. And the man who won his first King George in 1981 with Shergar, Sir Michael Stout. But first, let's kick off with the story so far in the middle distance category.
They just over a furlong out, and Dolnaya has still got a two-length advantage over Flintshire, who's trying in second. Back towards the inside, we got Pethers Moon. Dolnaya, Pethers Moon off the rail. He's coming, charging into the closing stages, and Pethers Moon drawing to the Judge Vincent.
Golden Horn now begins to run at his stable companion. Golden Horn and Jack Hobbs, the intense moment in the derby, and Golden Horn looks like putting it to bed. Jack Hobbs trying to stay in the game, tightened up, and it is Golden Horn driven out, remains unbeaten. Golden Horn won the derby.
Western Him is coming to join him. The Grey Gatsby's a length off him in third position. In behind those Cannock Chase budgets, Free Eagle showing in front. The Grey Gatsby is trying to get to him and he's making progress. Free Eagle shows in front. The Grey Gatsby is closing with every single stride. Free Eagle just holding to the Grey Gatsby.
It's Golden Horn. The Grey Gatsby still can only get to his throat latch in second. 3 lengths away, Cougar Mountain and Western Him. Golden Horn battles gainly and now has pulled a length and a half over the Grey Gatsby. His braking is hard and it will be Golden Horn. A perfect 5 out of 5. Golden Horn has won the Eclipse.
Now, as ever, I'm joined by Chris Dixon. Chris, good to see you. Been up to much?
Not really, all. Just watching the racing, keeping up to date.
And looking forward to Saturday. The King George is one of the centrepieces of the British summer when it comes to thoroughbred racing. What does it mean to you and how important a race is this?
It's an extremely important race, and I think year in, year out you look forward to it because whilst the first clash for the 3-year-olds against the older horses at a middle distance trip comes in the Eclipse earlier on in the month, you've then got that chance over a 1.5 miles, and it's going to be great to see the Eclipse winner turning up, the Derby winner as well, of course the same horse in Golden Horn, to take on the Elders for John Gosden, who the last 2 3-year-olds to win this race have been trained by John Gosden. Gruder, of course, so impressive last year. That was something special as well because that was a filly. Thought last year was a great race. My abiding King George memory in many ways was Harbinger because he was just devastating when he won it a few years ago for Sir Michael Stout.
Yeah, Harbinger, a superstar for Highclere thoroughbred racing. Sadly, Telescope not running due to a minor setback, but there is a cracking field and we'll get into the nuts and the bolts of the race in a few moments' time. But first, let's see what they're faced with. John Reid, a winning jockey in 1997 on Swain, takes us round the Ascot track.
I'm John Reid. Welcome to Ascot. This is the King George and Queen Elizabeth Stakes. This is one of the most important starts of the year, the King George and Queen Elizabeth Stakes. It runs downhill the first bit, as you can see here. When you jump out here, you're trying to get a position. Sometimes horses get a little bit of a run on and start going a little bit faster than you want to go. It sort of gets the race set up. But you need a position. It's like any race, you need a position. So you've got to lay up a little bit. You can't let them get away. When you get down the bottom here, you want to just find a bit of a rhythm. But you certainly don't want to be pulling all the way down here. In a minute or two we start. First little bit of a right-hand turn. It's a crucial bit. You don't want to be in too much trouble here, but it's a nice easy bend. The ground starts to flatten out a bit, and then we head down into Swinley Bottom. And the bend starts, and it starts to swings all the way into the back, the bottom straight. We've got a mile to run from here. We've gone 4 furlongs already, and as we turn into the back straight, hopefully you've got your horse in a nice position where you want to be. And of course you don't want to be too far away around this track. It's a track that you do want to be reasonably handy on it, as long as the pace is right. And we've got a good 2 or 3 furlongs to run here. This is the bit where you want to get your horse moving along nicely, start looking for positions where you're going to go, who you're going to follow. When we get to the bend out of the bottom here, you might even think of coming out off the fence a bit and getting out a little bit wide for the start of the bend. Now we start the bend into the straight. From here, you don't want to be far away. If you're more than 5 or 6 lengths off the leader, I'll promise you, you're going to be in big trouble, because you've got good horses in front of you and you'll need to be not far away. You've got 3 to run, the race will be on, they'll be off in front and you'll have to be chasing. You want to be within striking distance, but it's uphill and it's hard work and the horses will start to tire. From here on in, they'll be starting to drop away. You want a bit of daylight and you want to be out. As we come up to heading for the 1 pole, you can hear the stands shouting. We've already passed the stands. We've got a furlong and a half to go. The very long stands. This is where the men and the boys are sorted out. The good horses will be rolling and the weaker ones will be down. And here we come to the post. And we're there. What a great race it is. Won by some great horses.
So that's a look at what the runners and riders are going to be faced with on Saturday. One man who has been there, done that, got the T-shirt at Ascot so many times before, we know about it, it's Frankie Dettori. He's the man charged with riding the favourite Golden Horn, who has lit up the 3-year-old division, the classic division this year, and adds such a wonderful element to the race this time around.
And if we go back to when we were discussing the Derby, the question against him that he had to answer was stamina for the 1.5 mile trip, but he definitely put that one to bed in the Derby and then dropped back in distance to win the Eclipse, shaping in the style of a horse who was ready to go back to 1.5 miles and that you might even see better than him over 1.5 miles. He's progressing by the run. We still don't know how good he's going to be, and I think that Ascot and the 1.5 mile trip will really suit him well. He's getting that weight for age allowance as well. He's going to be very, very hard to beat. There are no certainties in racing, and particularly so at the highest level. The races are extremely competitive, but he's going to be very, very hard to beat.
What's really impressed me about Golden Horn is that he's done it different ways. He's done it over 1.5 miles coming from off the pace. He did it over 1.25 miles in the Eclipse, having to make the running. He's proved that he's got lots of weapons in his armoury.
Yeah, I think that slightly tricky draw on the inside that kind of forced the Golden Horn team to deploy those tactics at Sandown has kind of helped, because it means that he's proven that he's tactically versatile. They can do what they want with him. Whatever the race throws at them, they can change the tactics around, and he has the ability to deal with it. We've seen right the way through the early part of his career that he's got a sharp turn of foot, that he can quicken and pick horses up. But what we learned at Sandown was that he can grind away as well, that he's got a likeable attitude. When he's forced to battle, it's not just about a flashy ability to quicken, it's about grinding top quality horses into the ground.
And he's taking on a really top quality field once again, and once again he's meeting the elder horses. Chris says there's no such thing as a certainty in racing. Does John Gosden think Golden Horn is a certainty? Let's find out.
It's exciting to have a horse of his quality and the races he's won. I particularly thought, well, Kevin Ryan was marvellous after the Eclipse because it was such a pure match race, if you like. The other ones weren't really involved. They never got involved. And I think something like that's exciting. And to see him come here now to take on the older horses at 1.5 miles at Ascot. As I said earlier, I think the King George suffered a few years from just being a small field older horse race, a little one-dimensional. And I think it brings excitement to it. And to that extent, what we've seen from 1975, the idea of the Olders and the Derby winning 3-year-old meeting, it's really what the game's about.
And now the dust settled after Sandown, what were your reflections of that race?
I think that the horse showed a great deal of maturity, and the jockey too. I think it was right to go forward and make the running, and the fact that he was relaxed in front and had never been in front in his life in a piece of work, let alone a race, showed that he's growing up and learning, and he was relaxed early, and I thought it was pretty good theatre, you know, certainly over the last 3 furlongs.
Are you able to quantify when they get back in preparation for a race like the King George, just what a race like the Coral Eclipse has taken out of them?
Yes, I suppose you have to. I think the fact that he was able to dictate the pace for himself, and you can understand why Grundy They might have given the outward side. You can understand that was an incredibly hard race. I mean, Dahlia, for goodness sakes, is 5 lengths back in third. She went and won the Benson and Hedges next time. I broke the track record. You know, I mean, she didn't get involved in that fight. But I think the fact that we'd set the fractions rather than being set by 3 pacemakers or something makes it a race that was something the horse took really well. And obviously, I haven't given him great hard pieces of work between races. I wouldn't dream of it. I've just tended to keep him happy and ticking and breezing, if you like, and he's been in good form with himself.
So you're happy with his sort of physical condition going into Saturday?
Yeah, he looks great. You know, his 2 favourite habits are eating and sleeping, and a little bit of exercise. So he's been fulfilling that role.
All trainers want to star. From a personal point of view, how much do you enjoy the sort of media focus on you and Golden Horn this year?
Well, you're like a boxer, you prefer not to have it, but it's there, it's part of it. I mean, Noel Merlis once said to me, worry about the time they don't want to talk to you.
Interesting stuff there from John, and actually, we probably shouldn't, Chris, discount entirely his other runners, Eagle Top and Romsdale. I'd be slightly more keen on the claims of Eagle Top, a Royal Ascot winner a couple of seasons ago. Can you give them a chance?
Well, they're up against it against their stablemate. I'd find it hard to see Romsdale coming home in front. Eagle Top, I suppose the big thing that he's got is that his standout display did come at the track, didn't it, at Royal Ascot last year, and he looked a very good horse that day. So if he got back to that kind of form, then he brings himself into the mix, I think, and it's a case of can he get back to that level. Things maybe haven't always gone his way on occasion since, including last time out, but I can see him running well.
What's interesting actually is Eagle Top and Postponed, who we're going to talk about now, also running on Saturday, were, for all that they were beaten at Royal Ascot, they were one of the sort of talking points out of the meeting. That sort of barging match between Adam Kirby and Frankie Dettori, it got a lot of attention, unnecessary attention in many ways, or unwanted attention certainly. How much did they compromise their chance of winning the race at Royal Ascot by getting involved in that boxing match up the straight?
To some degree they did, but I think the run of the race generally probably didn't suit them ideally, and I don't feel that either horse would have won the race as it panned out, even without that little bit of argy-bargy that you mentioned. So both horses need to improve on that display to get involved in a King George. I think that's perfectly clear, but both horses, I suppose, are capable of improving, particularly so Postponed, who you get the feeling we still might not have seen the very best of.
Well, let's find out what his trainer, Luca Cumani, made of that race and Postponed's chances on Saturday. Luca, how much are you looking forward to seeing Postponed line up in the King George?
Very much so. I mean, it's going to be a fantastic race, and I know he's in great shape, but I'm under no illusion it's going to be a tough race. Golden Horn is rightly so the short price favourite and very likely will win the race, but I'm very much looking forward to running Postponed, as I'm sure he'll run a super race.
We've just had a brief look at him here. He looks in fantastic order. Are you happy with where he's at?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he couldn't be in better shape.
Not only are you taking on a high-class horse, you're also taking on a horse who, given the weight for age scale, is receiving weight. Do you think that the 3-year-olds are favoured, given the sort of composition of the weight for age scale?
Well, that's an age-long debate. Nobody really has the answer to that. I think statistics show that of late, the 3-year-olds have an advantage at receiving all that weight. And in the case of Golden Horn, who's the best 3-year-old of his generation, who's taking on older horses that are probably not the best of their generation, he's got an advantage for sure.
When you go into a race like the King George, where you've got an obvious market lead or an obvious sort of high-class horse, do you approach it going, how do we beat horse A, horse B, or do you just have to ride your own race and do what suits your horse?
Well, generally speaking, the best thing is always to do what's best for the horse, because otherwise you can complicate things too much. So his best thing is to do what's best for the horse, what is the best scenario to get the best out of our horse, and that's what we try and do.
What do you expect to see from Postponed on Saturday?
A good run. I can't ask for more.
The winner of the Hardwick, the race that Postponed was beaten in, was Snow Sky, and sad news, I guess, for the Sir Michael Stout team that Telescope won't be having another crack at the King George in the week. But they have got, in the form of Snow Sky, the Freemason Lodge team, a really strong candidate, because he really impressed me with the manner of his victory at Royal Ascot, and really surprised me that not only did he have the class to win that really hot race, but he also had that speed. I know he got the fractions right early, but he kicked on and went away from them. It was the making of Snow Sky for me. How strong do you rate his chances on Saturday?
I think he'll need to be advantaged by the run of the race again. Right at the start of the Champions Series, we were reflecting on the very first races, and Snow Sky, of course, had won one of them at York over a mile and 3/4, and said at the time that for all that he'd won one of the staying division races, he was a horse that was more likely to make an impact in the middle distance division because of the attributes that he's got. He's probably got more speed than stamina. I think he was helped by the run of the race at the Royal Meeting, and as I mentioned, the likes of Postponed in behind weren't seen to best effect as the race went, and Pat Smullen, I thought, gave Snow Sky an outstanding ride at Royal Ascot, but he might well be able to get a tactical advantage again. It's hard to say at this stage, but we know that he's an extremely capable horse with course form, and he represents a trainer with an outstanding record in this race. He's won it 5 times already during his training career, most recently back in 2010 with Harbinger, so they'll have had this race on his radar for a while. He's going to need to improve again. Golden Horn is a bit of a standout, isn't he? But if he didn't turn up on the day for whatever reason, then it becomes wide open, and Snow Sky maybe would be a player.
Definitely. Well, his trainer, a 5-time King George winning trainer, is Sir Michael Stout. Let's hear from him now. Sir Michael, you're a trainer with an excellent record in the King George. How much do you look forward to it every year as a contest?
Well, I look forward to it in the years where we have a runner. You know, it's a great middle distance all age summer race.
Snow Sky was a victor at Royal Ascot. How much of a surprise did that level of performance from him come to you?
Yeah, we were a bit surprised. I know he had the run of the race, but I think he is improving, and he proved last year he's very effective at 1.5 miles and 1.6 miles because it was a good run in the Ledger, and he got interfered with it, and I thought he was second best. Yorkshire Cup was a good performance. He's a good, solid horse who hopefully is just on the up.
And is he a good, solid horse who's displayed more speed this season than perhaps you thought he had in his armoury?
I think he indicated that in the Harwick, yes.
Will you make the running with him in the King George? Is that sort of the key to him now?
Well, the great thing about him is you can do anything with him. Let's see how the race forms and, you know, where he's drawn. You know, there's plenty of time for that.
And is he a horse who's, I mean, this season, his sort of trajectory of his career is very much on an upward curve. And have you kept seeing improvement in him as the season's gone on?
Well, he's had 2 races, and he definitely improved from the Yorkshire Cup run. You know, initially we decided, Teddy and I had a good chat after Hong Kong and decided that we would aim him for the Melbourne Cup. So that was the plan, and that's why he wasn't entered in the King George. So we'll see what happens in the King George. I wouldn't dismiss the Melbourne Cup idea at this stage.
So that's a look at some of the key players, but there's more in the race. And just before we wrap everything up, Chris, is there any other horses that you want to give mention to?
The Corsican, I think, for David Simcock is worth a shout. He's got some improving to do, but I think he's a horse that's still improving. And again, he's another one that was probably unsuited by the run of the race on his most recent start. I think he's a horse that can still make an impact at this kind of level potentially. He's in a top stable. I could see him running a big race, maybe in behind the winner.
What's your goal? I think you're going to say Golden. What's your King George 1-2? Golden Horn in front?
Yeah, Golden Horn's going to be hard to beat, and I think I'll go for the Corsican to chase him home in second.
Right, I'm going for a John Gosden 1-2. Golden Horn to beat Eagle Top. It promises to be a great race on Saturday at Ascot. The Kipco British Champion Series rolls on. Who will be victorious? Well, we don't have to wait too long to find out. We'll be back very soon as we look ahead to the Qatar Goodwood Festival.